it is actually 1-0 up for Age of Killer. So he did win that Russia Mir on Grand Chaco. And we're going to see, actually, Snow is supposed to lock his civilization first on Florida, which is map 2, and he did select British. And Age of Killer got the opportunity to counterpick, although I'm pretty sure he was gunning for Portuguese no matter what.
Yeah, so obviously Portuguese. Actually, we saw this matchup when Kanisi played for Tit, all way back in the World Championships. And
Whoa, 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 whoa.
I mean, it's pretty common knowledge now, isn't it? That
Oh,
Kanisi played for
those
Tit.
are ESOC conspiracies. It was,
Oh yeah,
actually,
oh
I'm pretty
yeah,
sure
yeah.
it was confirmed, but
And
let's
yeah,
keep it under wraps here.
and Snow didn't fare too well. As it's quite common knowledge that snow versus water isn't the strongest, and but his British play probably is the strongest in the game. And Florida a good map for British, but obviously a good map for Portuguese. So it should be quite an interesting game to watch. Maybe even a repeat of that game if slightly less skilled from Bruce.
Yeah, I definitely think that Breeze has been looking to a lot of others for support, especially for this match. I know he wants to perform well. He's very active. He's definitely been studying with Kainisi, probably with Diaruga, and also with Wicked Cossack, as well as probably seeking advice from some others. So I don't think, even though he might not be the caliber of Kainisi and Kainisi's Portuguese on this map in particular, he's definitely going to get really damn close to it. And so I think while Snow has had a few months since that experience, and maybe he might have something more in mind on how to actually combat it, Breeze is looking pretty solid.
Yeah, so obviously uh, Bruce likes to go to the late game in this matchup. Definitely, British late game isn't as strong maybe as Portuguese. They have a nicer, quicker boom, obviously, but with the upgraded schooners, maybe Portugal actually has a larger advantage than they do on base game instead of EP. But yeah, it should be quite.
Historically, this would be a British favored matchup for sure. But when it comes to maps that involve water, that kind of does throw the balance a little bit for a loop, and especially considering this isn't RE patch, it's EP patch. Yeah, Portuguese don't fare anywhere near as poorly as they used to. As you're saying?
So yeah, in the top of the map we have Snow in green. It has a wood start, so that's much nicer for British than Portuguese, I think. Really, especially for Breeze. He likes to start with a food start and go up with less villagers, so you can get that second town centre up earlier. Um, and yeah, so Snow finding a nice 75 wood treasure straight away, which is incredibly nice over here for British. And Brewery's not really finding anything too useful, making a trading post instead. And by the looks of it, going up just for 10-10, so he's not going to be chopping any wood, only just collecting food from these turkeys here, and going up incredibly quickly.
This is mad strange. He's really going for a 10-10. Maybe he's not even planning to do water at all. I mean, he got the trading post. He's not gathering any wood. I wonder if this is a mistake from him, uh, because yeah, it looks very smooth. It looks great.
Yeah.
Um, this is a really not at all what I was expecting. We should mention that Age of Killer is actually up 1-0 in this series. So this is game two, and the first game was a Russia Mir on Grand Chaco, and I think Breeze won that in round about 12 minutes. Um, so he is leading this series at this point, and with Snow having been forced to lock his civilization first on game two, Florida, a map that he's not as favored on, I think that's gonna swing to Breeze's favor. But it didn't seem like Eric was tilted at all, so I think he's probably in good shape. He's not too upset about that first initial loss. Even still, Breeze actually going for the 10-10, actually doing it. This is not at all what I expected.
Yeah, but however, normally with a 10-10 you want to find some nice food treasures here, and there's not really any that Bruce has found. I mean, Eric is finding 100 food here, which is really nice for the British player. He can age up slightly quicker. But even with a 10-10, look at the villager population difference. And Eric's also got hunting dogs in, and Bruce hasn't. So with 100 food treasure, he's not going to be too much slower than Bruce to actually get up. And obviously, Bruce is going to be so much lower on the economy wise, comparatively.
not a big fan of Breeze's scouting pattern here. Of course, he had to spend 25 seconds building that trade post right off the start of the game, as well as, it takes a little bit longer for the villagers to gather that. Obviously, he's scouting the coast now, and he is going to be up very, very early. So around the 4-minute mark is when he's going to be hitting Colonial. Your deck made me horny.
Yeah, they both have water focused deck. No schooners for Snow though. He does have Whale Oil, which is such an incredibly powerful card late game, and there was 5 privateers as well. It's a card only British get, which I think 5 privateers beats about 3 figured. So it's an incredibly powerful card for only 850 coin in the Industrial Age. So maybe Snow's going to go sort of an Industrial Age strategy himself and try and punish water when he gets that big shipment in.
You know what? This is pretty crazy. Like, we see Ageofkiller going for the 10-10, but his first shipment is actually not schooners, it's economic theory, which is going to be impacting all 10 of those villagers right there. Essentially a 1 villager shipment at this stage of the game. But we do see the dock coming up. No schooners, but he does have the trading post. And so I suppose he is going to be sending schooners. He's just sent economic theory first for the reason that he's going to be getting schooners no matter what. So he may as well have the economic upgrade. And look at that, schooners coming in just as the dock is about to finish. That was actually pretty well executed.
Yeah, however, Sat from Eric here is going to put a manor house down right next to the dock, so he's going to see what Bruce is doing. Obviously, if Bruce gets a caravel out, he's going to know straight away. And yeah, he knows the dock's here. He's probably expecting the dock, knowing Bruce's playstyle. Most players would. So maybe he could play some sort of colonial water play, even with 2 caravels and making one of his own, or sit back and just mana boom. I mean, first card coming out in the next stage here will be quite telling for Snow. Outpost going down on the water as to be expected.
I do like what Breeze was doing over towards this side of the map. So Eric was trying to scout where this forward town center location would be from Breeze, but Breeze noticed it and averted his town center or wagon around the line of sight of Breeze's Explorer. Eric's Explorer, and also got him into snare and is about to kill him. So while this town center might get scouted pretty soon here, I still really like the attention to detail that Breeze had there.
Yeah, 2 caravels coming out as the first card here from Snow. Breeze just sending a card, but it must be 2 caravels, otherwise he's going to be in quite a lot of trouble here, especially with that outpost. Outpost right next to his dock, so he can't really pop one out. Let's see what he's got in queue. He does have a caravel in queue, so he might have 3 just popping out here, but this dock's going to go down, especially with these pikes on the coast just sieging it down.
Pikes are really nice here, and those are also going to put a lot of pressure on that southern dock. So once that town center goes up, those 2 caravels aren't really going to be able to contest that dock right there. He will be able to kind of contain the fishing boats on the siege and, But there it is. The 2 caravels from Ageofkiller coming up, and the first dock is coming up for Snow.
Yeah, it's going to get denied though. I think it's going to get denied by that. Yeah. And there's another caravel, so there's 2 caravel shipments sort of only trading for a dock, which he probably could have done with a pikeman anyway. And what can Eric really do? He's probably going to get a caravel in queue from the amount of coin he's got. Yeah, as you see, he's getting some nice shots off from the outpost, but he's going to lose that caravel, and these other ones can just go back and next to this town centre and just repair. So Eric not really getting anything from that 2 caravel shipment. And in a way, wasting a shipment and letting Breeze get water for free here. How can he push through caravels with only a dock and an outpost of his own?
Yeah, but you have to consider, well, actually, I'm looking at the economic unit population, and it's actually not too bad for Breeze. Okay, 5 settlers coming in for Eric. So at one point in the colonial age, in the discovery age, in the age up to colonial, Eric actually had 19 villagers, and Breeze was still on his 10 from his 10-10, so Eric literally having double the economy of Breeze at that point. But it's kind of evened up, or at least it definitely will, considering Ageofkiller is basically now on a 3 town center boom with 1 dock and 2 town centers.
Yeah, but there's a bit of pressure here coming in on this market. I mean, it's only a market, and the upgrades have... Actually, no, it's quite good for taking the market here, because Breeze hasn't actually got any of the upgrades. So it's basically 100 wood going down for Breeze from these pikemen. And he's going to have longbow pressure as well coming in. Meanwhile, these fishing boats, they're quite good. They're coming out quickly, and they've got eco-ferry on them, obviously, but they are still slower than normal villagers. Villagers collect food roughly 30-40% faster than fishing boats. And this wall probably might not go, the wall's not going to go up because of his pikemen just blocking it. Nicely done. Also, Breeze, well known for his sort of gaps in the walls, even though he makes so many. Yeah, so even if this wall did complete, the pikeman could just go through anyway. And he's going to lose another settler from the archers over here.
I don't particularly mind the wall not going up, or even that it has holes in it. I think the main objective is to, just obstruct pathing as much as possible and make it such a pain for the opponent to navigate. And he's done that well here. He did lose one Villefort. Might lose a second here if he's not too keen. These longbows should be able to see it if Eric is keen. So that villager might get back to safety. But still, this town center just does not have a lot of resources around it. 4 trees and a coin mine before needing to be exposed towards the outrunners of that little base. But looking at the other positions around the map, particularly this one over here, we are going to see a little bit of pressure starting to come out. Another dead villager.
Yeah, so Breeze sort of losing quite a lot of villagers here, losing 3 villagers, and for only 4 of Snow's pikes, so that's quite a nice trade for Snow. Obviously, Snow losing those 2 caravels, so he's Breeze is basically 2 shipments up at this point. He didn't lose any of his own caravels, and he didn't really take any pressure from it. Only 200 wood from that dock, but another outpost going down here, and Breeze doesn't actually spot it himself, so he's not going to be able to see the outpost going up. And how does he push into 2 outposts with that many that many caravels? He does spot it though, so he's going to get the outpost down. He's obviously taking down a villager, and then these caravels do so much damage versus a non-built outpost.
Yeah, and so while the scores may not really reflect it, I don't think Breeze is in such a terrible spot. Getting pressured along this coastal town center right now. Lost 2 villagers actually. But I still think ageofkiller is alright. The economies are actually roughly even. A little bit more favorable for Snow considering he has better upgrades at this stage. Actually, that's not the case because we see Rendering Plant actually coming in for ageofkiller himself. So that's going to greatly buff these fishing boats and bring them on par with villagers.
What percentage is
evening
that?
out? Snow is on his way up to the Fortress Age.
Yeah, so Snow aging before ageofkiller, and ageofkiller not really having the eco advantage, especially with these TPs going down for Snow. So Snow aggressively taking their land here, and comparatively, Breeze losing a lot of villagers, so he's now is equal in eco population. And even though you said rendering plants coming in and to these fishing boats, the fishing boats are still weaker than the villagers. You have to remember, villagers have log flume, which is the second one. That's 30% on wood and basically 30% on food. And comparatively, Bruce's villagers only just getting gang saw. So Eric in a position where he's ahead on both eco and military at the moment, and he does still need to try and take out this water boom from Bruce in any way he possibly can. But he's now Bruce even destroying these houses, so Eric can even boom more than he already is.
Not even just an eco and a military advantage at this stage, but also a tech advantage, an infrastructure advantage. Maybe not infrastructure, because there's only 1 barracks that I see for Eric so far, and Breeze does have a stable of his own, and he's raiding with 2 hustlers, which are coming towards the south bend of the map.
Yes, it's only 2 hus, so I don't think he'll get too many villager kills at least on it. Especially seeing as there's a couple of pikemen down here just coming in.
One thing that is pretty important, though, is Breeze has complete control over the sea. Even if Eric were to ship something like 1 frigate, I don't think that's going to be able to contest all these docks, this town center, the 3 caravels. So I think that would be a wasted shipment. So I think Eric should commit fully to land here and land booming. And then push out with things like 2 falconets, maybe an artillery foundry and training culverins, and then just exercise his advantage there, which at this stage is slightly in his favor. We do see Breeze going up to Fortress himself at this stage, but it is quite late. I mean, you got to consider this is Portuguese aging up to Fortress Age at 11 minutes and 40 seconds. He is going to be up around the 12 minute and 20 second mark, but that's pretty dang late. And that gives, so we see the town center coming out for Eric over here. Plenty of archaic infantry. We got lots of longbowmen, some pikemen. Um,
Yeah, veterans are coming on as longbowmen, so they're pretty scary units now. And Breeze still only having these two husks, which are probably going to get shot down anyway. You might lose you might get the explorer here, which would be quite nice. But that town centre going up in such a economically rich area, really, and Breeze not really having any control himself. And also this second town centre might, or third town centre even, might get scouted by this pikeman if it just moves over to the left slightly.
that is a very strange third town center location. I would have figured he might have propped it up over here where there's a hunt, or maybe like several hunts, in fact, and more wood. But he's actually putting it in this very sneak location where it's very unlikely to be scouted. Losing some more villagers, that's going to be 3 down right there. And that's kind of going to make this outside position pretty awkward to establish control over. But Breeze laying down more walls, mostly to distract his opponent, I feel, because I don't think it's, up to Eric to really, like, I would never expect a third town center location to be right there. But Eric is actually, look at this, a very forward town center, and that's definitely going to get line of sight of a Breeze's third town center, and that's going to be a pressure point from which Snow can exercise an advantage.
Yeah, and Snow sort of sending in, not really going too heavy on anything himself. Also, this TC going down behind the walls of as Booze, as you were saying, and these walls aren't even going to go up themselves because of this longbow and pikeman master coming over. And if he ends up seeing this town centre, which he's going to, as you said, from the when the town centre is built, he can just easily go and siege it with a pikeman, even though they're no pikeman, the longbowman, even though their siege is so useless. He's still going to lose it. What can Breeze do against that longbowman master, except from maybe try and pop something like a Mams, but he doesn't even have them. He only has organ guns and dragoons, which are both pretty lackluster.
So we are actually seeing Age of Killer. He has lost 13 villagers so far in this game, and he is behind on economy. Age of Killer is going to the Industrial Age, but he's quite a ways behind in terms of military at this stage. As for Snow's plans, he is going up to Industrial Age himself.
Yeah, which in a way was sort of signaled by him getting Yeoman here, because Yeoman not being the best tech if you're not just using it to get the guard longbowman. And as I said, like Snow has that really powerful 5 privateers in the Industrial Age, and meanwhile Breeze doesn't have any shipments which could really defend against that. Frigate, again, as I said, privateers are so good that you have to have a couple of frigates to really defend it. And if he pushes in with this big massive longbowman he has here, he can easily push the town centre off, and there's no other towers on the coast of Breeze.
Really hope that Snow readjusts his flag positioning if he is going to be sending 5 privateers, because with its current positioning, it is very likely that not all 5 of those would spawn. Like, I would expect maybe at least 2 of them to despawn and not get the true value of that shipment. But like you said, that would be a really scary shipment, especially if he has some land pressure to distract the town center. I think this could be really successful. But the resources on the coast are somewhat dwindling. We do have 4 whales on the coast, which are going to provide permanent economy towards 2 Breeze, but the fish are starting to run out. This town center is going down, but oh my gosh, look at that. Organ guns, Minutemen, goons.
Yeah, he's snared by the Minutemen. He can't go back. He has nothing really to counter the organ guns at all. Pikemen aren't useful against it, and longbowmen aren't useful against it. And look, he's just lost so many longbowmen. Let's look how many lost in those 2 volleys. 13 longbowmen and 9 pikemen just from those 2 volleys. And Breeze is going to keep his town centre up. But as I said, how can Breeze defend this coast? I mean, he is getting another town centre up, but a factory coming in as well. So where's he going to put that factory? He's going to put it on the coast, which, yeah, that's might be quite a large mistake. Oh, a church is going up, so we might see. Oh no, he doesn't have a church guard, so he's going to get those church upgrades or Mercantilism. But that factory on the coast there might be a mistake.
Breeze has stabilized quite well, I feel like. He's got Castadors out on the field. He's got a mixed composition. He's got Dragoons. He's going to snipe these Falconets, which were a pretty big risk for his organ guns right now. Okay, a little bit wishy-washy on the macro, but he's gonna get it now. Killing both Falconets. The Organ Guns of his are slightly at risk too with these Dragoons coming forward for Snow, but taking them down with the Cazadores.
Yeah, and these pikemen getting onto the Dragoons as well, so he's losing quite a lot of his Dragoons to units that normally just wouldn't counter Dragoons because you can just run away from them. So he's losing those Organ Guns and sort of losing the advantage he has. Cazador versus Longbow is pretty pathetic, especially when this Guard Longbowman comes in.
So that actually went pretty poorly for Breeze. In fact, that wall behind him kind of being a death sentence, basically. Not being able to gate his own wall because his units were too close to it, not being able to retreat behind it. They were completely vulnerable to Snow's melee units, aka his melee goons and pikes. Got factories for both players coming out, but this land economy of Snow is completely established, and the economies are roughly the same. And even though, you know, Age of Killer technically has advantage over the sea, what are the monitors truly gonna do? Freeze?
Have you crashed? I don't know what's happened here.
No.
Everyone's here.
I'm okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. That was a bit odd. I have no clue what that was. Yeah. So as you said, these factories coming on the coast of Booze, and I still think that's a bad mistake. Even if they're on the coast, he can defend them quite easily if he holds the sea. But Booze doesn't really have a massive sea presence. He only has those three caravels, which again against any big sort of timing from that privateers aren't really going to do anything. If Snow can take out the town centres, which he should be able to do quite easily when he's got Coves and now he's got a couple of horse artillery himself, 4, and only 3 to Breeze. So I think Snow's in a better position than Breeze here, definitely.
You know, I was saying it's kind of hard for Breeze to exercise control over the water or like leverage an advantage because of it. I was just saying, like, you know, what can he really do? Like, the most he can do is monitor the original town center of Snow. But something very important is he's established a town center over here, and what he can do is like build a stable right here and just have constant production that it will be raiding Snow's economy. Of course, he doesn't quite have the resources to do that yet, and okay. And obviously he's macroing other parts of the map so as just to survive.
Yeah, but Snow full pop at the moment as well. Yeah, Snow full pop. He's got 3 look at this artillery army, 4 horse artillery with 3 cannons and 3 culverins. He needs to delete these Minutemen. He doesn't really want them anymore because they're just taking up useless population space. But against this sort of Cazador mass, there's not a huge amount of goons. Only 9 goons to Breeze. Breeze hasn't got really anything to counter this horse artillery, culverin, and rocket mass.
So Snow is just stacking resources at this stage. He has no reason to train anything more.
He gets 2 Coves out, yeah. 4 Coves even, so he might be able to win the Cove War. Although, again, that's huge.
God. Oh, that is devastating.
Yeah, an equal trade in those culverins, but as you said, look, there's 3 horse artillery, and these aren't cheap. They're 600 resources each. And yeah, and another culverin going down. He's going to lose his culverins. This is massive for Breeze.
Yeah, so that is going to full hold for Snow, but, you know, he's stacking plenty of resources. I think he's going to train some more units here before, you know, considering going up to the Imperial Age. But yeah, that was actually a devastating loss for him. It up for Age of Killer. Age of Killer actually being the one to push out now, and that's definitely going to apply some pressure on Eric.
Yeah, and Eric not really having anything to deal with his Cazador and artillery mass here, and yeah, more and more Coves coming out. 7 Coves for Age of Killer. Which I think is a bit overzealous, really, because he's got 7 Coves for basically 3 rockets that aren't even doing anything. But yeah, he's just pushing forward. And he does lose the horse artillery of his own, but he doesn't really mind too much about it, because the Cazador mass here is, with these 2 upgrades, have really powerful units at this point.
I'm in absolute agreement with you. 7 Coves is a little bit overkill. You may as well just put that into extra Dragoons, and, you know, Dragoons can be more of your anti-artillery 3 cloves, 4 cloves, that's plenty. 7, that's a little bit overdoing it. They would be better put into more dragoons, or maybe something like mortars or another horse artillery piece. But this is still all right. Age of Killer is exercising his, you know, late game prowess, as he likes to exalt. But Snow, you know, he is entrenched in the late game. There's no going back anymore. You know, you've kind of committed to fighting Breeze out in a treaty-style game. One thing I would really like to see from him is the Seminole Outpost, so as to upgrade his longbowmen even further. That would be a massive tech. They have a tech that boosts the archer attack all action damages by 25%.
Yeah, it's
so it would be like
Carib's the same. Carib's 10%, so 25% on 7 teams obviously is the base of the damage which you get. So yeah, these units should basically be having like 30 attack with those 2 upgrades, which is huge. You have to remember that longbowmen fire at 1.5 speed instead of 3 speed like the Cassadors. So they'd be doing basically 60 damage versus the Cassadors, while the Cassadors are only doing 27 versus them.
I don't think this is the most stale of gameplay. You know, a typical RE water laming would involve like monitors and just basically things you have absolutely no ability to combat. But this is looking like just a fair late industrial fight. And we have both players sending Snow is sending his cavalry cards, cavalry combat that's going to buff his dragoons. Age of Killer is sending infantry combat, infantry attack, infantry defense, which is boosting his Cassadors. Those Cassadors are beefed up right now. The only thing missing is advanced arsenal, and I don't even have that in deck.
Yeah, he even has counter infantry rifling, which in this sort of fight is sort of useless. There's not been a single musketeer made for Snow, but I mean, look at the resources of both players. They're so large at the moment, and the score as well. But you can sort of invest the money in just in case there's a musketeer switch. And yeah, Bastion coming in for Breeze as well. So if he wants to just sit back and base and just command a lead, he can do. How many trading posts on this map do you need for Trade Monopoly?
So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 on the map. So I would expect you need 4 trading posts in order to do a monopoly. Obviously, you want to have more than 4, just so that if you lose one, the trade monopoly doesn't end. But it's kind of hard to establish. I mean, Breeze has, like I said, you know, he has full control over the seas, so at any point, you know, he could just build an artillery foundry along the coast and just petard your trading posts. So if anyone were going to be going for the trade monopoly victory, I actually figured that would be for Breeze.
Yeah, but obviously he can't actually do it now, because he has to push into this sort of Carib settlement over here, which is the one he'd need. Although, saying that, he could quite easily take this trading post over here for Snow and start it himself. But yeah, these coves going down. There are only 2 coves for Age of Killer. So as you said, those 7 coves sort of being worthless at the end of the day. Sort of you only needed 3 or 4. And yeah, sort of King's Life Hussars coming in here, which is a Royal Guard upgrade, coming in to attack these Cassadors. And there's not a huge amount of goons, only 6 on the field. And you have to remember, goons versus longbowmen. Longbowmen excel versus goons.
Oh, I do have a bit of experience playing Treaty. I was a Treaty player for the longest time. With regards to this specific matchup, it's pretty even, Portuguese versus British. You know, but what really sways it is the artillery control. Now, late game supremacy operates a little bit differently to Treaty, but they are roughly similar. Fortunately here, what I really like from Snow is that he is establishing the mortars out right now. And that's going to be crucial, because if he's ever going to push, which is pretty difficult to do with longbowmen and British in general, at least when it comes to these late game matchups, he's definitely going to need those mortars. So I really like that call from him. But it does look like both players are quite well cemented in going for this late industrial play. Obviously, I think Breeze is a little bit set up better for it now. He just has the better upgrades, the slightly better deck for it. Even though we did see Snow with so many water upgrades, they aren't going to be terribly relevant, so it's actually taking up some needless deck space.
Yeah, and you have to remember that these Castadors are now getting standing army in, so he's going to have a massive of them. And you also have to remember is guard longbowmen. They're good units. They're really good against skirmishers, but they can't be upgraded. The only thing you can get an upgrade for is an infantry breastplate from the arsenal, which I don't think Snow's got yet. He hasn't even got an arsenal up, so maybe it'd be worth getting an arsenal and getting 10% HP on those units. But yeah, a raid coming down from Snow down the bottom here with his longbowman, taking out a couple of villagers for Breeze, but realistically, it shouldn't make a huge difference, seeing as how many town centres Breeze has got going.
Yeah, at that previous position where we were fighting, I did say that I liked the mortars, but one thing you have to consider is that what is this position really going to gain Snow? What is he going to get from fighting here? Let's say even if he were able to break through all of these walls, what is he really destroying of Breezes? And so I think right now, Snow kind of has to think of what is his win condition? And I think there's a big lead into that question, a big answer to that question. Some legitimate pressure to the food gathering of Breeze. Breeze actually is sitting on pretty low food count right now. I think it would be wise of Eric to just throw up, even if it's not a bastion wall, but just a wall in general. It wouldn't take much macro at all to throw that up, and it would prevent future raids from Breeze, which would consequentially allow Eric to focus his micro and macro more on the fight, more on the important side of the map, rather than having to catch these 2 Hussar raids.
Did you see what Eric was doing there? He was bringing the mortars forward, which this sort of wasted population space if he's having a fight, and he's just using them to soak damage. You have to remember those mortars having 75 range resist, so they take a lot of damage from the Castadors. And meanwhile, there's quite a lot of Huss coming in here, which is going to clean up these longbow mass, and the culverins here, which... there's Huss coming in for Snow as well, which are better, obviously, because British House are better than Portuguese House. But... yeah, I think that sort of Huss switch may be taking Eric slightly by surprise.
We even see some petards coming in over here. And this is what I'm talking about. This is Breeze exercising his advantage by having the sea. He's just got the one that makes the moves. He can just raid anywhere on the map, petard whatever he wants, establish control, because he's never going to lose control over this seaside, unless there were a big control and commit. I'm trying to find the words for it. Basically, Eric would have to have absolute control over this side of the map before he would be able to push out on a position like this. If he wanted to take control of the sea, he would need to have absolute control over his own flanks. We can see petards coming from every single angle. Not only were they going for the town center over here with which to destroy it so that Breeze can place forward base position, forward building positions, but now we have petards coming out from the other side, and look, they're going to gun straight for the factory. Nothing is going to defend that. And so Breeze is the power player right here. He's the one making the moves. Snow has to react, and look at this. He's not going to be able to react fast enough.
Yeah, Breeze sort of showing his late game knowledge here. It was petards as a sort of active surprise. Quite useful in late game, especially with the factories, because they're so powerful. They're basically 10 villagers just not being idled. But even with the factory going down, the eco population is pretty equal here. And you have to remember that in comparison to Breeze, Eric has all these really, really nice upgrades on his villagers, and meanwhile Breeze only having sort of a base upgrades and refrigeration and eco theory, so nowhere near as good as the the Royal Mint eco theory, refrigeration, and the textile mill upgrades that Eric's got.
Can't say that I'm dissatisfied with the way Eric has played this game. I think he macroed really well, and I like his commit to the late game. But I just think, look, we've got multiple targets coming in, and even though they might get caught, again, what is Eric's win condition here? Even if he wins every single fight, if he's always making the defensive move and never the aggressive one, look at how much map control Breeze has. He has the complete over here, over here, over here. He has so much land, so much real estate with which to leverage an advantage. even if he's losing fights, even if he loses this fight, even if he's losing some petards for free, it's completely fine for him because there's just no way Eric can do anything about it. He's not going to be able to break these forward towers. He's not going to be able to break through all of these walls. I think Breeze is in a great position.
Yeah, especially with that what is it called, a heavy fortifications card coming in. It does boost Breeze's what's it called, points quite heavily. But these fortified outposts, as you said, how does he push into them? They do so much damage versus these guard longbowmen just walking through, and yeah, it's really quite hard for Eric to push in at all. And then Breeze is just going to end up having the bigger economy because of how fishing boats don't attribute to your villager population.
With everything said, Eric is actually pulling ahead slightly in terms of score. You know, at one point, I think it was like 500 score to Eric and then 580 Breeze. So Breeze was at a sizable advantage. But I think playing cost effectively actually has kind of put him a little bit at a disadvantage here. He's sitting at 150 out of 200 population. Eric, you know, he's stacking a lot of wood, but he is closer to 200. 70. He's low on coin. To be expected, he did lose at least one factory. The other factory is being set to coin right now. But still, you know, I think Eric has to consider what is he doing. He is getting a raid in over here, like sneaking in some hustlers. Good. What I really like is over here. You know, he was raiding some villagers and just harassing Breeze. And this is what I think Eric needs to continue to do. He needs to continue to pressure all points on the map for Breeze. You know, if he can sneak some hus in here, or some huts towards the back here, kill as many villagers as he can, and then make a slow push, destroy these towers with some mortars. It's going to be very difficult for him because he has to be doing all of these things simultaneously if he wants to, you know, prevent Breeze from being able to just simply eco back up and haul back up. So it's not going to be an easy path to victory for Eric here, but you know, he's doing as much as he can.
Yeah, and both players sort of running out of shipments to send. There's 2 Falconets coming in, which is obviously a Fortress Age shipment, and 2 organ guns coming into Breeze. So yeah, these sort of Fortress Age shipments, which you wouldn't normally see in the Industrial Age, are sort of coming out because there's nothing to send. I mean, Eric still has a privateer shipment, but that's not going to be particularly useful, I don't think, at this point. And all these all these warship shipments that Eric's got in deck, as well as whale oil, are sort of useless. So that both players running out of shipments, and I think Breeze just scales better with his upgrades on his units. And he also has advanced arsenal, which he hasn't sent, which is odd.
Breeze's units are just going to perform that much better. Eric still has not gotten the Seminole settlement, so I think he has just completely forgotten about it. I don't think the Caribs offer any relevant text. Let's see.
10%.
Archer changes all action damages by 10%. So Carib Kasiri Berry, that's actually huge. It would be so great for him,
and
even if it's just an extra 10%.
There's also the Villager one, which adds 1 extra damage, or 1 times extra damage for archers against villagers. So if you were to get a couple of longbowmen, there'd be so much damage just against 1 mil, basically losing 10 villagers there quite easily.
Yeah, you know, of any map to actually be playing late game British against Portuguese, this is probably, I mean, layout wise, maybe not, because, you know, it's just difficult to wall up along this bayou. But with the Seminole tech and the Carib tech, your longbowmen could be so sick. It's like having an extra 2 attack upgrades. It's like having infantry combat and infantry attack for your longbowmen, which are upgrades, you know, British doesn't have. All they have is Yeoman, which just, you know, gives them 4 additional range. Those longbowmen could be so much more powerful than they are right now. And in addition to that, Eric doesn't have the arsenal upgrade for them that upgrades their...
Yeah, it's 10%. I mean, it's nothing to sniff at, really. But mortar's coming out as well from Eric, as you said, to push through this fortified outpost, just sort of block. But even then, Breeze is just advanced arsenal coming into Breeze as well, and organ guns. So Breeze having a nice composition here, about equal military, but these longbowmen sort of have to try and get their shots off, and these orc guns are being wasted at the back here. Breeze has to bring them forward.
I don't actually think they're being wasted back. You can see the Wolverines coming forward for Snow. That was 1,500 resources to kill 4,000. I think it's all going according to plan for Breeze here.
Although look at the resources Eric's stacking. I mean, if he sold that wood, he might even be able to go to industrial, Imperial Age, which would be huge. But I mean, he has to try and mass while doing it, and that's the difficulty here.
Too bad for Eric. Advanced Arsenal is coming in, so that's going to be some more big upgrades for the Castadors here. They are quite speedy in their own right, so they would normally be able to get away from these Hussars, but getting absolutely minced right here. A big reinforcing batch of Hussars coming in for Eric, though. I think Breeze was sniping down the Dragoons with his Castadors, but going to evacuate them now back to the towers. So this fight not going to go all too well for Breeze. Everything considered, a lot of Hussars dead there. Yeah, that wasn't great for Breeze at all. You can take a look at the military unit population. Breeze does have a lot in queue, but they're not on the field yet. These towers...
It's doing so much damage. Each one doing 60 damage, and you have to remember none of these units have any resist against them. Especially these longbowmen there. It takes so much damage from the towers. Are you still here?
A bit of a freeze here. Yep, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. It's just a bit of a freeze, which I don't know what that's about. But again, look at these. There's not much Huss here, and these horse artillery, the Huss are just going to get straight on them and it's going to kill them. And look at the resource totals again. Look, Snow is so far ahead in resources, even though it looks like Breeze has got the larger economy. Breeze is just he's getting outmassed and he's getting outgathered at the same time, and losing these horse artillery, which were so costly, 600 each, is huge. And he might even lose this next one for his. Yeah, he doesn't quite lose it, but yeah, the mortars are now going to come in. 4 mortars, even not 5, and they're just going to clean out these outposts really easily.
So, while it did look pretty bad, oh wow, yeah, the 4 mortars, that's exactly what Eric needs. So, I was about to say, while it does look pretty bad from Breeze's perspective, like, it's not that bad because he has these defensive fortifications, the walls, and the high DPS ranged units behind those walls. But with the mortars coming out here, as long as Eric is keen, that is exactly what he needs. Hopefully he tasks those to the towers first so that he can, just...
Yeah, and howitzers coming in as well, so they're going to be doing even more damage. Yeah, he needs to do go against these towers, because you have to remember the towers themselves. They do siege damage, so they can take the mortars out incredibly easily if they're in range. I think they do siege damage anyway, don't they? The towers, or is it ranged?
The towers do siege damage, yes. Fortunately, Eric has lost his entire military mass here, and these howitzers are shooting practice right now.
He does cheekily take one out at the end.
Down. One tower.
Yeah,
Here
again
comes the Breeze counter push.
Yeah, but a lot of hussars against what is basically a huge match of dragoons and Huss for Ageofkiller. So yeah, I mean, the Huss on the Huss is okay for Eric here. More Huss coming out, but you have to remember the bowmen here are slower to come out because they don't have the infantry upgrade from the church. He really does need to get at this point, I believe.
So he's missing standing army, and he's also missing fencing school. So these longbowmen, like you mentioned, they train very, very slowly, whereas for Breeze, he doesn't have fencing school, but he does have standing army, and he does have riding school. Oh, actually, he doesn't have riding school. Scent yet, at least, but he does have mess cavalry.
And Snow resigning.
Wow.
I don't. Yeah, an interesting series so far. 2-0 to Breeze already, and you have to remember Breeze is somewhat the underdog in this series, and there's only been one water map, and obviously Breeze really quite good on water, maybe second to Kinesi in overall, but yeah, I think well played by both players. Snow not quite being able to push in as he needed to, and that water hold from Kinesi on his whales sort of proving to be as powerful as he says it is.
I don't think... I think Snow played well in general, but he is at a loss here. He doesn't have quick training infantry. His infantry are training very slowly. He lost both of his factories, so he doesn't have a lot of coin production. You can see he's low on coin right now. He has the resources to make more longbowmen, but they train slowly. And he doesn't have the resources for more dragoons, more hussars, whereas Age of Killer has complete defensive fortification. He has these towers. He's very well established, so it would need a perfectly executed push. And Snow is sitting at 135 out of 200 population with slow training cavalry, slow training infantry. He's just never going to be able to put it together. So I do think it was the correct resign here. But I do feel like there weren't that many things to improve upon, but the biggest thing is simply remembering what map you're playing on. Remembering that there are these seminal technologies which, while they may not have outcome of the game, they definitely would have made it easier to execute on a victory because it looked pretty good for Snow there. Throughout the entire game, he was holding his own. It wasn't like he was far behind at any point. So the biggest thing here is forgetting those technologies. The Carib, the Seminole, that would have been plus 35% attack to those longbowmen. That would have brought them easily to 30 ranged attack, and that is absolutely pivotal. And so missing those, and again, for all those other reasons that I mentioned, it's just for Eric.
Yeah, so Eric maybe sort of lacking map knowledge here, as you said, and maybe it cost him a game. As I still think it comes down to Breeze maybe slightly better in late game. He's used to more team games. Actually, no, I'm saying that Eric is incredibly good at team games as well, isn't he? So maybe it's not that. Maybe it's just that Breeze is more comfortable in Supremacy, playing at a later point in the game. So yeah, let's back up and go to our next game, which apparently ESO is down. Or maybe not. What is the next map?
Will be Alaska. So if there were ever a time to tilt Snow, obviously Breeze is going to have to lock first. And he cannot play Portuguese or Russia here. I do not blame Eric. That was a 30-minute game all for naught, and Alaska is not going to be inclined to be a short game either. So still in his Civ pool, Breeze does have Japan and
I just need to do the betting. I completely forgot to do it earlier. So I'll close it because people are getting annoyed at me. I'll have to check which people who have bet and they shouldn't have done.
I do see the Japan lot coming from Age of Killer here. And after that, let me check the map pool. I think there's Mendocino followed by Arizona, which if there were ever a time for Eric to pick up some victories, it would be on those two maps for sure. I do know that Breeze definitely has in mind what he wants to do on Mendocino. Arizona, probably not so much, but he'll probably just take a decent matchup and hope for the best. Eric, on the other hand, it is his opportunity to counterpick. He cannot pick British, cannot pick Russia. That will counter Age of Killer's Japan on Alaska.
Japan's an interesting choice on this map, I think, because it's lower hunt, obviously. So the shrines, he has to put them closer to Snow's base. Although he does get that nice thing that Japan likes to do is sending 3 boats, which is probably their best Age 1 shipment, roughly 3 villagers. And obviously Japan can't send 3 villagers, they only can send 2, or Kami, or 300 wood. And so yeah, it's a nice map for Japan, but Snow can't play anything like Brit, or yeah, again, he only really has India or Russia. I don't know if Snow plays Tad Civs, generally speaking. So Russia would be a good pick here because Russia tend to counter Japan quite heavily. The same for Aztec actually. Aztec being Japan's worst matchup, I believe.
Oh, I don't know if it would necessarily be the right choice, but I would be interested to see. And this isn't really in Snow's map pool, so I don't expect it to pick it. But I'm interested to see Ottoman versus Japan on Alaska, because Ottoman do have some viable sea builds of their own, and I think generally, at least if you were to do it on a trade post map, it's definitely Ottoman favored, just because obelisk guns are so difficult for Japan to deal with. Japan and India, those are both civilizations that struggle against obelisk. Um, I don't know how that would be affected, and obviously, Ottoman just baseline isn't a civ that Eric is very familiar with. So Eric, having utilized both his British and his Russia so far, those are both really good no TP map picks, and they are off of the table for him. So what is left in his civ pool? He has Dutch, Germany, and then some big question marks. I don't really know what he would play after that. Perhaps India, but he's not the strongest Asian Civ player or most renowned for it. So he's utilizing all of his brain power right here. Maybe consulting with the team manager for some advice. He is in a tricky situation.
Yeah, so the team manager for that team being, I don't actually know who is it. Is it he's SKG, isn't he? So it's going to be Prince of Kabul or maybe Sompu. Both players who like to play India, so maybe they're sort of coaching him what to do in this matchup because Japan India tends to be slightly India favoured, I believe, as a matchup.
At least in the early game, but should things go to the late game, it does kind of switch favor over back to the Japanese. And on Alaska, where Japan can kind of guarantee some fishing boat economy, it's to be a tricky situation, especially because Eric isn't as adept at dealing with water. Just naval combat in general.
Yeah, so I think the map pool itself is sort of, as you said, it's just a bit bad for Breeze, for Snow. Snow tending to like civs which are uh, not a land-based civs. He doesn't like playing against water, and he particularly struggles against water. So Florida and Alaska being his probably two worst maps for sort of this map pool. And then after these two maps, we do have two maps which are probably tend slightly more to his playstyle. The TP maps of Mendocino and Ozone.
It does seem as though Eric is picking India here.
Yeah, which is an interesting pick from Eric. You don't normally see him playing Tatsis, as you said, and yeah, maybe Azak giving him some giving him some tips or into his matchup. But Bree's just going to toilet, so we'll just wait for him, and we should be good to go on our way.
I do like this India pick. I don't think Eric is totally unfamiliar with India, and they just have a lot of anti-water capability. For one, their villagers, you purchase them or buy them by you're chopping a lot of wood. They cost 100 wood, so you're going to be chopping a lot of wood no matter what, and that's kind of makes it easier to what is it? Focus your economy towards something that would uh, solve on the water. In addition to that, you get strong anti strong what is it called warship upgrades, and you get siege elephants, which perform very well against boats.
Actually, I don't.
You don't
See,
think so?
no, siege elephants have less range than a frigate. They only have 28 range, and a frigate has
They do
30.
have less range, but they do have quite a lot of hit points.
They do, but again, they don't particularly fare too well against frigates. I think Migo was talking about this when he was streaming, or maybe it was in a Twitch chat or something. He was complaining about how you can't really counter late game sea battles or anything as India from the land like you would as any other nations. They get coves or they get mortars. And yeah, so it's a tricky one for India sort of to contest later on in the game if it gets to that point. Which for Snow is probably hoping it doesn't, because Japan late game versus India, I believe, has a quite a huge advantage.
I think we're moving on to game three, and what's the schedule? We are a little bit behind on schedule, so we just finished game two, and we have another 3 games to hopefully compact into the next 30 minutes. I don't know that that's necessarily going to happen, and it's not terrible to be behind schedule. It was understandably so. We were having some technical difficulties, and then some lag issues after that. So we missed game one, and game two ended up being pretty long. This game, though,
I reckon.
probably going to be long as well. Probably.
I don't know. I think I don't think Eric will want to play a long game. It might annoy
I
him.
definitely don't think so either. I might expect a consulate rush for him here. Hopefully, speaking as the caster, I hope that's what we see because I don't want to see another long game either. I just kind of want this to be over with.
Well, you're the treaty player, the deathmatch player. I would have thought you'd be inclined to see a longer game.
Are quite well. They do have some similarities, but they're quite dissimilar. Deathmatch games tend to be 5 minutes long, and that's kind of more to my preference nowadays. Yes, I was a treaty player back in the day.
Yeah.
But those days are since long going.
I think we're just waiting now. I don't know what Eric's doing. He might be going to toilet or something. I don't know. But hopefully we can get started relatively soon. Because the next matchup we have of the two players is Maito versus Hazza, which is quite lucky it actually went ahead. Hazza had some problems with his internet, and I may still do so, I don't actually know. But it should be a really, really good matchup to see. But this one obviously is this one's also quite good.
Are you ready?
There you go, Snow greening up. Are you here still here, Trevor?
I'm here.
Yeah, so Snow greening up, and I think Bruce is about to green up, so we'll get into the next game here. Which I think most of us, as I said, are hoping for a slightly quicker game this time.
Are you ready?
You gonna green up, Trevor?
Yep, perfect. We're ready. So we're launching into game three. It's a play all five series, part of the ESOC Premier League, week one. Okay, not quite. Oh boy.
Oh my God, what is he doing? I don't want to be disrespectful, but
I know we've only casted 2 games. Okay, never mind. 3, 2, 1.
let's go. Finally.
3. The map is Alaska, a play all five series between ageofkiller and Snow, part of ESOC Premier League Week 1. ageofkiller representing SKG, Team Somali Kabuli Gaming, and Snow representing Vanilla Ninjas, whose manager is Azamk. Like I said, ageofkiller is up 2-0 right now. He is currently and presently the more active player, and Snow kind of a little bit rusty, but I don't think he necessarily showed his rust in last game. I think his macro was kind of on point. I really liked what he did, and going into these next few games, as long as he has the energy for it, I think he'll give a good showing, even if he isn't so favored on this map in particular. If Riot, you want to talk about that one?
Yeah, so this map in particular it's quite nice for Japan. The hunts are somewhat more spread out, so you have sort of these hunts at the top of the map. You have the hunts on the right of the map, and you also have the water here, which is really nice for Japan. They could send that through village shipment, through a fishing boat shipment instead of 2 villages. And we do have a wood start here, so Breeze in orange here going up with he's going with a consulate, which is normal. So he's going to go Portuguese consulate. And another thing to mention actually about this map is you get berries. There's a lot of berries everywhere. So Japan can delay its orchards, which normally is quite a big weakness for Japan in sort of late colonial play. We have to send those orchards and for food, and obviously here they don't. So yeah, so but wood start is better for India, I think, than Japan overall. Even though Japan can go for the consulate, India does like their wood start as well. Although India finding 80 wood as well, which is incredibly nice here. And let's have a look at the other treasures. They're normally the same on the map. There's a Cherokee Rifleman, which is nice. The Nootka, if India can get it, is incredibly nice. It's sort of game changing whether it is. Oh, it's on Japan's side. So Japan has scouted the Nootka, and obviously the Nootka against India, if it's going for anything aggressive, is yeah, as I said, incredibly nice. It can stop the aggro going up quicker, and sort of delay India's timing quite heavily.
I would love to see Age of Killer get that treasure eventually. Even right now, I would poof back that Explorer and begin taking that because that nuke can be so influential. If it takes down one of the forward basing, or not forward basing, if it takes down one of the Brahmin, the Indian explorers, that's really, really impactful for the early colonial age. In addition, if Snow were to go for an Agra, what he could do is use that nuka to harass that villager, potentially even kill it if it's caught out a little bit too far forward. He's going to go for it now.
So that Nuka
On the other
treasure
hand,
being native scout coming out, which to be honest on this map I don't think is. Hello.
Yep.
I don't know. I think it's actually Breeze lagging. He does it quite a lot in team games. But anyway, that native scout treasure not being as good as you normally would be. But interestingly, Bruce setting East Indiaman, which is the dock and cheaper fishing boats. So what do you make of that?
I definitely think it's par for the course for Breeze. I don't think I would expect him to do something like 300 wood if he's going to go for an economic build order. Heavenly Kami also doesn't make a lot of sense on this map when you're trying to go for the sea economy as he is so predicated to, as he is so inclined to do. Um, as
Yeah.
far as more peculiarities about the East Indiaman shipment, I'm not entirely sure. You know, I'm just not familiar with the Japanese water builds, but I do know that it is something that is pretty good with them.
Yeah, so the East Indiaman is obviously a dock rickshaw, so it's basically 200 wood, and it makes your fishing boats 20 wood cheaper on EP, so it's 50 wood instead of 70 wood. It's nerfed on RE. Normally on RE, it takes them down to 50 wood from 100 wood, I believe. Maybe it's slightly less. But we're just going to get this 110 wood treasure, which you can either change into a shrine, or I believe probably fishing boats are better in that situation. The only reason I said it was slightly odd that we're sending the East Indiaman is normally it's not particularly efficient shipment. Normally you want to send those three fishing boats first, and yeah, so East Indiaman overall doesn't actually save you that much wood. It's a lot worse than schooners, as you don't get the bonus of speed, and comparatively, that first dock you get isn't particularly useful. It's basically just 200 wood.
Oh, so both of the Nootka and the Native Scout for both players are going to go down here. Of losing one, but he did well to use one of his villagers to block the snare of the Nootka Clubman and escape of a low HP villager. And now we just have a little bit of Explorer v Explorer right here. The Agra Fort position is really strange. You know, I understand it. It's going to help him contest the water, but it's quite out of the way. And look at these walls coming up for Breeze. Very aggressive walls, if that's a word you can use for them. I say that just because they're very far forward. Usually players might be a little bit more conservative and have them in, you know, a more defensive positioning. But I do like this because it just minimizes the amount of investment Breeze has to put into this. You know, that wall only cost him 20 wood, of course a lot of villager seconds to get out there and then build it. I do really like that wall from him. And we do see the first fishing boats coming out here as well. I think we're going to see some more fishing boats coming out from the Portuguese consulate too.
one thing you do have to sort of think about with Japan on this map in particular is that Foons there's two shipment in colonial ages, two Foons instead of two caravels for India, and Foons they're better in some regards. They're faster ships, but against actual ships they're quite weak. They're not particularly good ships. They're worse than the caravel, and obviously worse than something like a galley. So realistically, if Snow can send and get a dock up and get 3 caravels out, Breeze might be in quite a bit of trouble here. Although,
For
yeah,
this wall, we did see one villager go down. Looks like another one is going to go down. Maybe even a third if he's not keen. So definitely 2, potentially a third as well.
yeah, he's snaring with that Sepoy, and he's getting some damage on it, and I think it's going to go back into its 2C. But a Sepoy for two villagers or 3 villagers is quite good. Yeah, 2 villagers and Riotcoke going down. Meanwhile, yeah, these 2 Foons coming out, but as you can see, they're not particularly strong units. Only 40 siege attack, and I believe a caravel has 50, and the same amount of HP. So, although a third one coming out, so yeah, I think he's fine on the water. But maybe Breeze won't expect the aggro fort down here from Snow to be on the coast.
So we do see the Funes. I think the thing about them is that they fire a little bit faster than the standard caravel. I'm not entirely sure of that. And we do see another villager going down for Breeze. So technically Breeze is ahead in terms of economic unit population. But 1, 2, 3, I think he's lost 4 villagers so far. Okay, only 3 villagers. But still, like, that's not the most optimized. And he's going to lose both of his explorers here as well.
Yeah, and you have to remember that Bruce spent his export down on a fishing boat, so from the Portuguese consulate as 3 fishing boats. But yeah, 4 Foons coming out here, and he's going to probably be able to take out the aggro fort with them quite easily. Even though the aggro fort has so much damage, the Foons themselves are pretty fast firing, as you said, and 4 of them is just going to take them down easily. And look how many villagers are going down for Snow. He's losing 2 villagers on his own, so this eco difference from the Sepoys raiding has sort of been lost.
And Breeze is very happy to just take this fort, the aggro fort down. Of course, it's going to take a lot of damage on some of these boats, but you know he's not under pressure right now. It's just going to send the low HP ones back to the dock to be healed. Over here we do see, you know, this cherry orchard very, very exposed, and that wall going to go down and be harassed by some Sepoys. Again, Breeze doing a very nice job, and that aggro fort is going to go down, and that is one of main production facility. There is a barracks coming out in anticipation for losing that, but look at that. For free, that aggro fort gone, just decimated.
Yeah, and a massive
No
XP
loss
boost as
to
well.
Ageofkiller.
A huge XP boost, and 2 villagers going down at the same time. So Breeze just getting basically a free shipment out of this, of which he can use to send probably a fishing boat upgrade, because that water now is basically just uncontested. How does he contest 5 Foons on the water, or 4 Foons on the water? With yeah, he can't contest at all. Even if he gets the caravels out with like if he gets the caravels out, but how does he put a dock down without Breeze noticing?
You know, in the future, this cherry orchard is going to be able to be defended by his warships. We see Breeze also utilizing his warships to scout the coast. Of course, he isn't going too close to the town center of Eric here, so if Eric wanted to, he could still build a dock on this side and be protected by the town center. So Breeze isn't going to go too close, but this northern ridge is completely under Breeze's control, and he has absolute control over the water now and a huge economic lead.
Yeah, and these Yumis behind these walls against these Sepoys could be a massive problem. Just not quite losing that villager there, pulling it back quite nicely. And how does Snow push into this at all? Bruce is going to have a bigger eco. Yeah, Bruce doesn't have the shrine population he might want, only 60. But these fishing boats, especially with fish market and rendering plant, obviously pay back to it quite substantially. And you have to remember this map as a whole has quite a few fish compared to the last one we just saw in Florida. I mean, I think there's more whales on this map total.
How many? Let's see.
There's 4, isn't there? Yeah, there's 4 whales. Oh no, there's 5 whales even, yeah. And I believe Florida only has 3 or 4. maybe mistaken. But snow is going up, so snow is going to be able to get siege elephants, which would be incredibly nice taking down these walls. And yeah, siege elephants are nice here, definitely. And I think that's probably what he's going to go for. I mean, what else can snow ship? Maybe even Mahouts. Mahouts are quite nice at taking down walls, but obviously they're not as good as siege elephants, and they can't do it from a range. But I think ageofkiller in a position here which is maybe unkillable at this point, with his eco population lead and the walls he's got down.
Breeze is going to be pretty quickly here, beginning his age up. Snow is a little over halfway completed with his age up, and he's going up with the Charminar Gate, which is the one that allows him to train Mensabdar units, which buff all of the similar type units, and it also grants him a Haut Lancer. But I don't, personally, I just don't think I'm really keen on this shipment here. Pretty much by going up with that Wonder, Eric's best shot is an early Fortress timing push, whereas when ageofkiller is still an age down, and you know, Eric is going to have more units, and he's going to have upgraded units that are upgraded before ageofkillers. So I think that's his best shot here, because without that, you know, I would have been more inclined towards going something like the Tower of Victory, which would have granted an 800 wood age up bonus. That would have expedited a land boom of Snow, but I don't think that that's out anymore. I don't think Snow is ever going to get into a position where he's going to be able to match ageofkiller's very, very well-defended economy. He's never going to get back the water. There were 4 Funes. 4 Funes, look at that. Just completely...
Yeah, but
it's just...
I mean,
all the sea
I
economy
think...
is breezes at this stage.
Yeah, you have to remember Funes do have lower range, like normal Chinese, normal ships. But he's going to lose a house more than likely from these Funes, which... at this point, he's not going to be popped, but he's quite close to popping. No, Mansabar Seapoy in queue, so he's going to mass got a lot of Seapoy by the looks of it. And you'll probably see 2 siege elephants, as I said, coming out, so he's going to take them those walls quite nicely. But you have to remember, Yumis have a bonus against siege elephants. They do 1.75 times, 1.5, sorry, X damage against siege elephants if they can get into range. And realistically, these siege elephants might not be able to survive too long.
You do see the Sepoy upgrade, and with the siege elephants, that does become a more viable composition. Obviously, ageofkiller is counter massing pure Yumi, which is the counter unit, technically the counter unit to Sepoy. But with some other units in the composition, namely those Mahouts, the Yarumi, if these walls are just opened up and and Eric is able to get into melee with these Yumi, those counter units, the Sepoy, are not going to perform very well. We see the first of the siege elephants taking down most of that wall, but actually, you know what? ageofkiller has Bastion in queue.
Yeah, but I think it's maybe coming in slightly too late. He's going to lose that last layer of walls. Really, look, these Mahout on that Yumi just basically taking out all himself. This gate going down. He can't get another layer up. Oh, he has another layer at the back here. And the sentry's coming out. He's going to hold this quite nicely. And then what can this massive Seapoy do? He hasn't got any more Mahouts in queue. Oh, he does. He just shipped Mahouts. If he can get this wall down before Bastion, he's going to be in good stead. You have to remember that Bastion as an upgrade takes so long. But these Funes coming around quickly, and we're just going to try and defend these Yumis. But if you can get the Yumis down before the Funes come around, you'll be in an incredibly nice situation.
This is pretty good. You know, a 2 Mahout shipment coming out as well. A lot of these these Yumi were already killed. Bastion is going down, but the gates are not there. The Funes are on the way, but those aren't going to guard much along the coast, and they're very vulnerable to the siege elephants. Siege elephants having 28 range, Funes only having 18. But with the Bastion walls, it is going to be a long time before these walls are able to come down, and ageofkiller able to harass these villagers. The only issue is all of ageofkiller's Yumis are gone, and ageofkiller is actually, he's investing in the Age Up 2 Industrial.
Yeah, which might actually be quite a big mistake here. I mean, if you can get through these walls and seize the industrial age up, you have to remember these siege elephants do 400 damage a shot, and even though the Wonder does repair itself, each shot from the siege elephants is going to do 1600 damage or 1600 damage. Although the siege elephants might go down due to the CM. Although CM...
Alright for now. The sentries do not actually lose hit points anymore, so those are basically just regular,
No, they do.
regular old units.
They do.
They're
Japan.
getting slaughtered, but they did take down a Mahout at the least, and they did buy Age of Killer some time as well. But just take a look at the scores and take a look at the economies as well. It's actually not looking too bad for Snow.
Sentries do still lose hit points. It's China's which don't, but they don't get the second batch.
Okay, my bad.
But yeah, again, as you were saying, look at the score difference. I mean, he's going to get that big XP boost from the Shogun, but what can he send here? He only has 4 Flaming Arrows. Flaming Arrows, unfortunately, lose to Siege Elephants quite badly. And yeah, I mean, he can get the Shogun out, but he doesn't have any of those big shipments you want. Is it? I think it's 18 Yumi you can get over as one shipment. Yeah, so the
Shogunate liable to go down. There is the daimyo out on the field, and a lot of experience points granted from that age up bonus of the Shogunate. But unfortunately, that Shogunate is going to go down, and
yeah, 240 XP is going to go to Snow's economy as well.
this.
Snow's going to age. Snow's aging as well.
This is looking really, really good for Eric.
Yeah, and these Yumi, 4 Flaming Arrows coming out, going to decimate their army, but there's the shipment down, and Snow can just pull back here. He's almost equal on eco population as well.
I wish Eric. I mean, it's not usually wise to just commit to a fight when you're aging up, but I think Eric was totally okay there. He has siege elephants, and those are going to counter the unupgraded flaming arrows, and he also has plenty of disciplined Sepoy and Yorumi and a Mahout, which I think could have killed those flaming arrows there, and as well probably killed that daimyo that was pinned at the back, although maybe that could retreat to the Fune. So I guess overall, with ships as well, maybe it was wise to go back. But Breeze is actually very keen to wall up here, and that's going to buy him, again, so much time.
Yeah, and Mortar's coming out as well, so they're sort of going to stop any of these siege elephants, because Mortar's obviously doing a lot of damage anyway. They're doing 200 damage on their long range attack. Although you have to remember, siege elephants, such high HP, 700 HP on each one of these siege elephants. Especially when he's aging, he's got 3 siege elephants in deck for the next 8. 5 siege elephants are just going to tear down these walls completely. And it's probably like we're going to see a castle coming up as well and getting the honoured siege elephants. Yeah, Mortar as well.
That monitor is going to provide so much support. It's definitely going to be able to take down that town center. Maybe not quite right now. Actually, it does look like it's going to be able to take that down. In fact, it seems like the monitor is not taking as much damage from the town center. It seems like it has a 50% resistance against that. So it's going to take down that town center as well, be able to bombard a lot of what is on close to the coast. I don't know that it'll necessarily be able to reach the Charminar gate at some point, but it does seem...
Well, what you have to remember as well is Snow's maybe sort of predicted this. He's got a second town centre on the right down here, and meanwhile he's pushing in with these 2 siege elephants. What can Bruce really do here? He can't stay here with his Yumis. Although those flaming arrows, he now has 8 of them, are going to be so strong. Even though they do have 28 range, so they don't fare too badly against the siege elephants. Even though the siege elephants traditionally would be the counter to them. 2 going down in one shot though, that's quite big.
Focused on the daimyo.
Yeah,
the Shogunate.
He can't get it back, if you remember. And I think Eric can just maybe sit back slightly, get the upgrades for the siege elephants, and try and get 5 in. There's East India Company coming in, which upgrades all his units. And yeah, I mean, he has this massive seaport, which might not be the best against the Yumi mass. Ooh. But he lost the daimyo, yeah. And look, there's not many flaming arrows left. If you look at military units, he only has 4 flaming arrows. And you have to remember, flaming arrows are nothing like falconets, they're not like heavy cannons. They're not particularly that strong against infantry. They do damage infantry quite heavily, but compared to the European artillery, they're not as versatile, really.
Just taking a look at the units lost, Breeze has actually lost 16 villagers. Snow has lost 2 Mahouts and 38 Sepoy, but Breeze has also lost 46 Yumi, as well as a lot of some town center time from being idle. Probably has a lot of idols. I definitely want to take a look at that graph after this game because he's invested so much time towards building this maze, this spider network of walls.
Yeah.
To what effect? It's lost him 16 villagers.
Yeah, and you have to remember here, really, is there's not much fish left on that. There's only one, two, yeah, a couple, 3 or 4 fishing spots left, and they're going incredibly quickly for Breeze. And Breeze, other than the 20 fishing boats that you can use on the coin, he basically is going to have, 10 sort of idle villagers. So that villager graph in about 5 minutes is going to be about equal.
The honored Sepboy, the Shadow Tech honored Yurumi, and those are just going to decimate these. Oh my gosh, we have the Shogun coming out here, and the Shogun's going to do really well against the Yurumi, but if it's getting focus fired down by the Sepboy, that's not going to fare very well. And, you know, Eric just doing well to micro these.
And 3 more.
Oh, and the Explorers.
The Explorers are back there, yeah. I mean, they're not going to be particularly good against the Shogun, but they're going to be annoying against these Yumi, doing pretty heavy damage, 16 damage a hit, so it's basically like half a cuirassier on the Yumi there. And you have to remember 5 siege elephants. Look how many siege elephants are on siege elephants. Each one of these doing 500 damage a shot, and he's got 7 of them. He could take a TC down in 2 volleys. And obviously Seapoy being such strong units, even against the Yumi here, they're just going to push in. They're doing about the same damage against the Yumi as the Seapoy are doing against them. But look at the health difference, basically double their health. And all these TCs that Bruce is sort of invested in, he does have CM though, he can pop the CM here. But the, Bruce's monitors coming in to try and take these siege elephants out, but siege elephants have 875 HP, so these monitors normally would just shit on culverins, but they're not doing as well. Oh, this massive CM block here coming out. He needs to get back here. Are you still here?
A little lag.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. You can hear me, yeah?
Yeah, I can hear you. I think it's just part of the buzz.
You know, this happens sometimes. Unfortunately, yeah, those CM are going to do really, really well. That's going to buy Breeze a lot of time and force. But he was in a great position to push. Hopefully he doesn't mess up the micro too much and is able to escape these siege elephants correctly. They are very vulnerable to melee attacks, particularly from those sentries right now. Taking down one of them, liable to take down another, but it does seem like that daimyo. Look at that Shogun Tokugawa. Oh, just hit points. It's just barely surviving, and if he loses Shogun Tokugawa, there is no opportunity for him to ever get it back. Maybe there's the potential that after Imperial he's able to send it again, but even that I'm not entirely sure of.
You are in
you see
Imperial.
the 16 Yumi popping out.
Yeah, so 16 Yumi, but he could just push forward sort of any point he wants with his on siege elephants. And again, they're not really scared of his monitors like a normal culver would be. He's even going to bring them forward. Where could Breeze go? Look, he's going to lose a monitor. That's so expensive. That's 800 resources. Most of it wood, which is the most expensive resource. And look, these Foon's going down. I mean, what can he do with his monitors? He can't take them away. He has got another TC up on the left here, but he's just pinned into this corner, which isn't really very good. And the Mahou, even though it's low HP, going to come down and just be annoying against these Yumi. And yeah, these monitors, which have cost so much, are just going down with just 2 or 3 shots from the war elephants, the siege elephants, and the town centres are going down. And at this point, the military unit difference is huge.
I was skeptical to begin with. I thought ageofkiller had it in the bag, but this is looking fantastic for Snow, and I'm very excited to see it. I mean, this has been a long game, but this is pretty satisfying to watch. Just this playstyle get absolutely nuked. And these siege elephants are a pleasure to watch. Look at that. So many warships dead, so many buildings destroyed. Now, this is just sick.
Yeah, I think he wants to really take down this dock here, because that dock's obviously producing quite a lot of warships, which are going to be quite annoying to Eric if he gets trapped by them. But yeah, this TC going down, but this Yumi mass is pushing him back. But yeah,
he's going to take the time to regroup. Some Yurumis coming forward, as well as another batch of Sepboy. But this is looking okay, especially with these Yurumi. He's going to be able to get down that wall very quickly with the siege elephants, as long as he's keen. Come on, baby. Those Yurumis are going to perform very well. They're actually getting pretty down pretty quickly by the Yumi.
Oh,
And there is
well, there's holes in the wall, like I said. Briz may be sort of known for having walls in his walls. The Foons are doing a lot of damage against the Yumi here. But if he's Seaboy can just get on top of him, and this wall is just definitely going to go down. This gate from these 4 siege elephants constantly sieging. 2 great bombards coming in, that's what you like to see. There's no monsters on the map, he can't take them out. This Hauna Muru, whatever the fuck it is, can't really do much damage against the great bombards. And
look at that, just split in half.
the Shogun, it's in so much danger. 200 HP on that Shogun. He obviously regenerates HP. He's so close to dying, and that Shogun's huge. It's basically a barracks, and it's is it 10% damage or 15% damage?
From the Shogun, I think it's 10% hit points or something like that.
Or something like that. Maybe damage as well. But yeah, these great bombards coming in. How does he deal with them? I mean, the Shogun has to get on it. This is the only cavalry he has. The great bombard's going to get a huge shot on the Yumi. If they get a shot off, it's going to be massive.
Just back far enough. But this is going to give plenty of time. Like, these bombards are so scary. They're forcing back... who is it? Breeze's Yumi all the way back to this, his last peninsula. And that's going to give Eric just enough time to remass. And, he's got a nicely distributed economy. He's definitely going to be able to train some more Sepoys. Probably maybe even mix in some more. Hopefully he gets them in Subdar Sepoi again. He's had it not trained for quite a while now, or maybe it's idle somewhere around the map. Yeah. There was another siege elephant created. And oh my god, just those flaming arrows getting slaughtered. You'll love to see it.
Yeah, and those sort of showing that maybe Breeze made a mistake going into the next stage and going industrial, because he hasn't got any of those big shipments. He obviously wasn't queued up for industrial, which is odd, because normally with this sort of deck with walling, you'd see probably more industrial cards. So if he could get 18 Yumi out here, it'd be huge. But obviously he can't, and his great bombards slowly going forward, but this Yumi mass is just going to get decimated by the great bombards. Watch. One shot going off. Look at a massive shot. Look at the damage. And all these idle villagers, he's not going to be able to produce enough. He does have Bushido, and he has Yambu Same in queue. But are the Yambu Same going to do enough?
Oh my god, and this is, Breeze's last hope. He's building on the other peninsula, having transported some villagers there, but we do see a frigate coming out for snow, and that's going to provide pressure on both fronts. Yeah. This is big, some Yabusame coming forward.
Yep, they're in the Sepoy massive. They're just going to, they might take a bombard down, but that doesn't even matter. One bombard is enough to just damage his Yumi mass so much. Look at the damage he's doing. Yeah, all those Yabusame are down, and then he's going to have to train another batch, and they're so expensive units.
You have to consider that bombard is effectively worth 700 resources, and Breeze put 10.
That's GG coming in.
Into that. But yeah, there we go. Your boy Eric taking it back on an unfavored map. He did get the counter pick this game, but that brings him on the board 1-2. He is still down, but he has the potential to still win this series.
Yeah, and sort of. I think a mistake here from Breeze is not having the not having those really powerful Japanese late game shipments, which you'd normally see in his sort of deck. And meanwhile, he's sort of stacked it with fishing upgrades and mill upgrades, thinking the game is going to be going into late game. But he's being forced to send these 2 flaming arrows because it's only at the 26-minute mark. And you don't really want to be sending mill upgrades at this sort of point in the game. And obviously, the fishing on this map. Not too great, and what we didn't actually see is Snow went water a bit. He sent a frigate at 25 minutes, and he was sort of harassing his fishing anyway. And there's no contest. He wasn't contesting at all, Bruce, and he was just going to lose his fishing economy, which was the only thing, in my eyes, sort of holding him into the game at this point.
Exactly, especially mentioning that Breeze didn't have any unit shipments besides the 4 flaming arrows, which severely limited his options with how he was able to hold in early industrial age. That timing push from Eric with the 2 siege elephants as well as the 3 siege elephants later in industrial was just awesome. I love that, and that was well played by Eric, and I'm really happy to see him out onto the Nilla Ninja's name.
Yeah, so as I said earlier, I mean, we've gone past the 2 really strong maps for Breeze, especially in this matchup. Snow obviously not liking water, and Breeze being possibly the strongest tournament player at the moment, because Kanesi obviously can't play in tournaments, and water. And so, yeah, I mean, the next 2 maps, TP land maps, probably heavily favoured for Snow here. and we might see Germany coming out. Obviously, Bruce doesn't play Germany, I don't think. And yeah, I think Snow probably even though he's down one game, he's probably in a commanding position just because of how the maps have worked.
So I do know that Age of Killer does have something in mind for Mendocino, and it is going to be his counter pick. So I think he is very, very disheartened by that loss on Alaska. You know, water, like you said, it's his strong suit. So having lost it, dropped a game there, you know, he was plowing ahead those first two games, very confident, but that's going to rock him, especially going into these last two maps, which are going to be more to the favor of Snow. Um, and while we saw a commanding lead from him, he might just falter and fall to the wayside here. I'm very excited to just see how this shapes up.
Well, I'm gonna quickly go get a drink because talking quite a lot famishes you. So I should be back in a minute, and you can talk about their picks because I assume they're gonna pick the civs while I'm gone.
Right, and so of course we're locking into map 4. It's going to be Mendocino. The last map in the pool, map 5, is Arizona. Um, Reset, so there's nothing off of the table now. Everything is on the table. Snow can pick any civilization he likes. He can pick his British, Dutch, Germany, France, anything he likes. Of course, it is the onus on him. He has to pick first, and then Age of Killer will get the opportunity to counter pick. And then on the last map, Arizona, that'll be reversed with Breeze locking first and Eric being the one to counter pick. But here, like I mentioned, everything is on the table. He can pick anything that he would like. And as for good picks for Mendocino, I could see his Germany, but although he might want to save Germany for Arizona, I could see his France, British. You know, pretty much any of Eric's picks here would be good. He could even go Dutch. There's so many great options on this map. I think it's very diversity of strategy that you could go for. So it's kind of hard to nail it down. And as for Breeze's counter pick, I would expect Iroquois or Ottoman on this map. I think he wants to go for the stagecoach, although he can also do that on Arizona. So he just has to kind of consider which of these stagecoach type civilizations he would like to utilize on both maps. Just knowing Breeze, I know he plays Iroquois. I think he's a little bit less well versed in Ottoman, so I might be more inclined to expect his Ottoman, or sorry, I would expect Breeze to select Iroquois here, and then Germany on Arizona. To see, obviously Snow has to pick first, and he has yet to lock his civilization. So, situation.
Snow picking Germany. That's somewhat to be expected. Yeah, in my eyes. And Breeze Russia. What do you think about Russia
Yeah,
pick?
I think this is actually to Breeze's liking. I don't think it's a favorable matchup in general. I think a lot of players at lower levels struggle with this matchup playing as Russia, just because, you know, usually if you go to RE patch, the Yulins are just so powerful, and Russia has a weakness to heavy cavalry. You know, it's a little bit different. It's still Germany favored just because Germany are overall the top civ. And they still have that, you know, Russia still has that weakness to heavy cavalry and, you know, high, just strong units in general. And Germany in early Fortress Age has those. Um, but I think this is something he's comfortable locking in. I was mentioning that Iroquois might be his pick for this map before, but Germany, I don't think that's really a matchup that Breeze is comfortable with. Whereas this one is probably something he's planned out.
Yeah, but equally, as I said, I think Snow may be slightly stronger in these sort of maps. So it should, if Breeze has planned it out as Russia, it should be quite an interesting matchup to watch.
Once we start this game, once Eric is ready, I'm actually going to run to the bathroom so you can do the job of introducing the players and checking the maps. Actually, I'll check the maps first and let you know, and then I'll head to the bathroom.
Sure, of course. So yeah, just waiting for Snow to ready up now. I don't know what he's doing. Maybe he's changing his deck. Let's see if he has a specific deck. Yeah. Doesn't seem to be one. So, yeah, I don't know what he's doing.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Are you here?
I'm here.
Yeah,
My bad.
Yeah, that's fine.
And so that will be, we're launching into game 4, currently up 2-1, Age of Killer versus Snow. Age of Killer is leading the series, but Snow's looking pretty good, especially on these last 2 maps.
So, what do you think about hunts here? They seem fine in my mind.
Yeah, the hunts. I got 1, 2, 3, 4 Snow, and 1, 2, 3, 4 Breeze. Let's look at the mines. 2 in base. 1 over here. Yep, looks great. Looks great in my opinion. The only thing of note is Breeze's 4th hunt is pretty far, but he definitely has plenty in base. And being Russia, you know, he can kind of guide this one or build a blockhouse over here. I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Eric will have to extend out over here or start hurting that one in, which is a little bit more difficult, but he definitely has plenty of food in base. This is looking great in my opinion.
Okay, so yeah, both players starting here. Breeze is in the orange up north here. He gets a wood start, which obviously Russia don't really want here. Russia tend to like the food starts instead of the wood starts, and Germany obviously really liking the wood starts. Germany probably being the best civ on a 200 wood start, especially on TP maps. So yeah, he's liking his start there. But Breeze going to find 90 food, which obviously is quite nice. Russia likes aging up early, and normally against Germany you want to go for 14 or 17 age up. So especially with 14, it probably stops idle time a bit slightly more. But yeah, I think Snow's probably going to pick up this Tomahawk treasure, which he crack shot just before he took TP. So that's going to be really nice against a forward blockhouse. It might stop him. Might stop him getting a blockhouse, which would be quite nice. But generally speaking, quite a normal start from both players. 90 food, obviously, as I said, and 30 coin for Snow. So he does miss the first pass because of it. He went slightly too slow picking up the treasure, but obviously not an awful position. Yeah, other treasures which are useful, probably the Zero Core Tomahawk, because now that Breeze knows it was a native warrior for Snow, he's probably more than likely going to try to pick up one himself. But Snow actually might come across it. I'll quickly change into the there he goes. Yeah, Snow more than likely going to come across that treasure, and he's going to see that Breeze is trying to take it. So he's more than likely going to bring the Tomahawk back here, and yeah, he might even be able to steal it here. Breeze doesn't see him, and if he steals it, it's huge. I mean, he can't get a full blockhouse up at all. I believe Breeze has got that just by a hair, but he's going to lose his Explorer, which obviously isn't very good here. Yeah, he's going to lose it, but the Explorer's going to go down for Breeze, and yeah, Russia losing the Explorer is pretty bad. You can't scout the enemy base, which you'd like to do as Russia, and also it's quite a big meat shield one in that Russian army. Yeah, Bruce trying to take the XP away from Germany, but unfortunately not doing so for himself. And this Tomahawk more than likely going to go down. Although he's going to eliminate the Tomahawk from Germany. So yeah, be able to get the forward blockhouse up himself. Other treasures on the map which are interesting, there's 50 coin in base for Bruce and 40 coin in base, so they're the best 2 treasures you can get in your base on this map. There's 135 XP, which is really nice. A medicine man's a bit useless. Stray sheep are also sort of useless. 40 XP in base is okay as well. So yeah, Bruce actually losing that Tomahawk, I believe. And meanwhile, in comparison, Tomahawk from Snow actually staying up, so he can just go and harass or just scout where the forward blockhouse is. Maybe not getting it down because the villagers can just shoot at him, but yeah, he's going to be really annoying about Tomahawk. Overall, I think probably a better age one for Germany here. Obviously, as I was just saying, they just got hit by the villager, didn't actually lose any HP, so that Tomahawk sort of being useless. But yeah, 40 XP coming in from Germany as well. And Germany going for market as well in transition, so he's going to get those hunting dog and placer mine upgrades. Sort of standard deck for both players, I assume. Although 6 set wagons probably isn't the most standard card which you normally see in this sort of matchup. And yeah, completely standard deck except from Spice Trade, which normally you might see something else. But actually, no, Spice Trade is quite standard for Russia. Yeah, 400 wood from both players going up with. That's sort of normal strategy here. Snow obviously going up with the quartermaster. And slightly slower age up, but that's to be expected. Breeze going up with 14 villagers. And Breeze has sort of normal Russia sort of things. He's going for a TP, which obviously isn't standard as Russia, but maybe quite good on this map, and the market going up. So 5 muskets going to come out, and those 5 Cossacks, and just going to try and pressure with them. But with a Staber going up, if he gets it up quite nicely, he can't really stay around. The TC fire against the Musketeers is so strong. And yeah, he can't really push in here. He's not going to do too much lasting damage. And what you have to remember about Snow in particular is he's known for his raiding. Snow is, as Germany in particular, Germany get those nice Ulans, which are lower HP, but perfect for raiding. There's 3 DOPs coming out preventively as well. That's an interesting shipment. Normally you'd see... Normally you'd see the 3 settler wagons, but maybe 3 DOPs coming out as a sort of a preventative measure, really, because he knows Bruce has to be aggressive in this matchup, and maybe he's just going to go straight for a trading post or try and get down that blockhouse straight away with a batch of 5 Ulans.
3 Doppelsonders is very curious. I mean, with that, you know, Snow is basically committing to like an H2 timing push. But how he's going to go about doing that, I'm not entirely sure. I think maybe he's going to go for probably a Yulin production and then maybe ship 8 Expo, but still it's a little bit strange. I might even be off about him committing to an H2 colonial timing push, but still 3 DOP shipment. That would be pretty strange for any semi-FF build order.
Yeah, and 700 wood, not sending that a really, really strong 3 settler wagon shipment, which... was actually changed in the beta because of how strong it actually is. It's 6 villagers. No other civilization has a shipment so strong in Age 2. Although, I mean, Bruce has like a musk mass here, but he's just sort of stuck in that sort of middle of the map area, and he's going to probably lose some of these. These Ulan going to get snared, and he's going to lose them. He might lose one, he might lose the second one. Yeah, the second one just getting snared. He might get away, you never know. He might lose another 2. Like, he's going to lose the settler as well from Snow. Those 3 DOPs sort of seeming a bit useless at this point.
A little bit of a strange build order. So we see the barracks coming out. I think there were 2 more houses built as well. Might convert some of that wood into some trained expo men. You know, I'm very curious as to what is Snow's plan here. Of course, losing those Yulins, but there was also a little bit of lag, so you kind of can't blame him for, getting those last two damaged a little bit. But yeah, it's not going exactly to plan, although we do see another raid coming for him. But again, just barely missing the snare, so nice job there. But he did actually garrison like 20-some villagers. That's
Yeah, realistically though, I think that even if he was going just for like a defensive shipment, I think that the 8 crossbowmen, if he timed it well with the 5 batch of Ulan from the stable, would have been a much better shipment to send. Obviously, Ulan's slightly stronger than Cossacks, not particularly a massive advantage for Ulan there, but against crossbowmen, this is quite a big fight here. If those Dops can get on there, absolutely anything.
big.
And 5 crossbowmen at the back. This is going to be nice for Snow, I think, actually. And you have to remember, those musketeers are so weak in comparison to normal musketeers. And 4 Cossacks really isn't the shipment you want here with those 3 Dops and those 3 Dops there. And it's not the shipment you want. And those Dops getting on absolutely anything. They do so much damage. And honestly, it might be an odd timing here, but even without the 8 crossbowmen, I think this is really quite a nice showing from Eric here. And that one Dop still staying alive, so we can siege nicely. That Dop doing 60 damage each shot of siege.
Big shot. Let's see what the units in queue, what Breeze has going for him. He does have a batch of musketeers and a Cossack in queue, so there is the potential for a swing, but there's still one Doppelsodner in the mix there. Full HP, not being focus fired down by the blockhouse. So no matter how many Cossacks there are on the field, just having that single Doppelsodner is definitely going to sway the fight with even numbers of Yulins versus even numbers of Cossacks.
Yeah,
5 musketeers popping out, wrong side though.
Yeah. Oh, Strelets popping up. And 5 Cossacks timed perfectly there. But that one Dop doing so much damage, doing so much work from at the back, and 8 crossbowmen coming out. I mean, the Strelets obviously trade better than the crossbowmen.
This is looking.
Yeah, he's cleaned up the Ulans.
A lot of Cossacks alive.
And crossbowmen. Oh, there's 5 Dops coming, and that's huge. That's yeah. There's 5 Dops coming in right at the time. However, not on about 1 Dop coming through, and these two Strelets are the only things that really left that can challenge the Dops. And this blockhouse is going to go down incredibly quickly from the ageofkiller resigning. So colonial play normally in the hands of Bruises Russia there. But Eric sort of showing an unorthodox but pretty ingenious timing push from Germany.
It was a little bit strange, and maybe it wasn't exactly perfect, but it was definitely enough to secure Eric his second victory. And that is going to tie the series on match point with the opportunity for Eric to counterpick civilization, Breeze's locked civilization on map 5, which is Arizona. So this series, while it was looking commanding for ageofkiller to begin with, and we did expect him to pull a victory out on Alaska, a big reversal here, and no GG on the way out from Breeze. I think he's a little bit.
He's maybe a bit tilted. Yeah. And obviously Breeze known in the community as being quite outspoken about his meta. So maybe Breeze thought this was quite an ingenious sort of matchup. So, you can't actually see when people put AI in the game, but obviously I've seen Diroga, Breeze, and that sort of that lot testing a lot of matchups. So maybe this is a matchup he's been testing quite a lot, as you said, and obviously not going too well for him. But just joining the game, Breeze. Breeze on Portugal for Arizona, which obviously is quite a good map for Portugal, quite a high hunt map, I believe, and 4 TC line, which is good for ATP.
Portuguese will be the lock on Arizona for ageofkiller. And while Portuguese are a civilization, they have ATP and they don't have anything else really to send in Age 1, so trading post maps usually go to their favor. Arizona is actually not exactly a high hunt map, as far as I'm aware. You get 3 hunts in base, and then the hunts pretty far that you have to extend for. Of course, you start with a lot of coin, so I wouldn't put it past... Oh, actually, Eric has already utilized his Germany, so you definitely can't pick Germany here. Gonna counter pick with British, it seems like.
Yeah, we've already seen this matchup anyway, but it was on a water map, which obviously maybe inclining the matchup slightly more so towards ageofkiller's Portugal. But Eric, as I said, is a strong British player, and maybe again quite a lot stronger on land maps than Bruises.
That's pretty much the complement for Portuguese. Instead of being in the water, this time it's the trading post that keeps them alive. So control over the trade line is going to be this last game in the series.
Yeah, so if this was a best of 5, which it basically has turned into, this would be the match point, and it is the match point anyway. So this swinging the game either for a win for Nerd Ninjas or a win for SKG. Obviously, it's only 1 point difference, so it's not a huge difference in terms of standing, but morale-wise, it might make a huge difference.
It definitely, especially with the Nilla Ninjas already leading the series, or leading in the standings. So the Nilla Ninjas are sitting at 9 points to. After this match, it's 11 points to 8 points. But I think Breeze was looking to put more numbers on the board for his team. But he still can't pick up this last match and get it just slightly closer, just slightly even out the gap. But if he's going to lose this one, that's going to put SKG at a significant disadvantage. 12 wins to the Ninjas, 8 wins to SKG, with only 1 match left for their team to play.
Yeah, so we have a coin start, which I believe is probably better for Brits than it is for Portuguese. Bruce, he's quite a proponent of fixed crates, isn't he? So maybe this coin start even tilting him even more than he was. As we said earlier, he seems to be slightly tilted. Not saying GG at the end of the game, but yeah. So what's likely to be seen here? Maybe a market going up for Bruce, or just sort of a straight 10-10 as you saw before. Actually, he's not going to go 10-10. He hasn't
Breeze,
got. Yeah, he's not.
no, he's building the house, and obviously it was a coin start, so there's just no opportunity for an early trading post here. He's probably going to go a 13 village up. I think 14 Vil would lead him up 5 minutes, so he's probably not going to do that. He might have a little bit of idle time, but he's probably going to be okay with that. I would definitely expect him to go ATP, but we have yet to see the players pick their decks, so it'll be a while before we can confirm that. But off the bat, picking up a 60 food treasure, especially nice for Portuguese, because food is very important for them, because like I mentioned, when they go for a 13 Vil age up, a lot of the time they have a little bit of idle time before they're able to queue.
Do you want to check the hunts, by the way? Quickly. As they seem fine.
I think the hunts very good for Breeze. I think the coin mines are looking very good for Snow. The coin is a little bit less favorable for Ageofkiller, but there is a hunt over on this end, which makes expansion on this side pretty good. The hunts are a little bit worse for Snow, but he still has, 2 in-base hunts, deer, and then deer, and then for his next hunt, for example, he can extend out in this direction, get that coin mine and the bison. So basically, I think this is a good map.
Yeah, it's good for both players. Obviously, this map having pretty weak treasures overall. There's only 60 wood up here, which is quite nice, and there's 50 wood down there, which is also quite nice. So either player finding those, especially for Bruce actually. Bruce having the ATP, if he goes for it, obviously wants those nice wood treasures. He can get the TPs up even earlier. But other than that, there's not really that many interesting treasures across the map. This HP treasure is basically useless, but Snow finding that's 50 wood, which is nice.
Are you there? I think you cut out a little bit for me.
Yeah, I had to cough, I'm sorry.
So yeah, I mean, Snow's going to pick up 50 wood, not too impactful quite yet. He's sitting on 110 wood, and almost the way to the age up, but not quite there. He actually is taking some villagers off of wood. He's got 3 settlers sent. I'm not sure if he's idling at the moment, but he should be queued up relatively shortly, so not a big deal. So 50 wood is pretty good there, because he's going to be able to translate that into a second house much earlier. In fact, he could do it right now if he liked. And he's also going to come across this 60 wood, another 60 wood treasure. Another wood treasure in general.
Oh, does he see it though?
Back just
yeah, not quite, but he's going for ATP obviously. He's going for a trading post, which is nice, sort of denying that ATP that Bruce has got. Bruce even bringing his village over there, so he's not going to be able to, he's going to waste a lot of villager seconds just walking over there. Meanwhile, if so Bruce going for possibly only a 3 TP ATP at this point, which obviously isn't as good as 4, and ATP slows you down quite heavily as port. It's better once you get the stagecoach up and once you get the XP rolling in. But at the start, it's not an instant shipment where you get your value from it. Normally shipments, but sending 3 villagers is instant. ATP is something that takes time to roll in.
So Snow just using some of his villagers to scout for his 4th and 5th hunts. But we do see some 4 villagers coming out for Age of Killer. Eric gonna scout this trading post from Age of Killer being built by the villagers, so he knows it's ATP. But he hasn't scouted these 2 forward villagers. Breeze just making it by the skin of his teeth. But it's town center. If Eric is keen, he's definitely gonna see that and snare it. In fact, even oof.
I don't know what these villagers are doing. They're sort of just wandering around, not doing anything. So, I mean, this is a lot of villager seconds he's wasting here. And what you have to remember is Snow is just he's just herded these hunts, and yeah, I don't know what he's doing here. Oh, he's putting a barracks down, so he's going to be quite aggressive here. But this outpost wagon going to come down straight next to it, and then a barracks coming down straight away. A barracks from Snow obviously going to come up first. And we might see some sort of, 6 musketeer and 8 crossbow both in deck for Age of Killer. But at the same time, Snow maybe slightly worse on economy after you account for the TPs. But yeah, the snare from the Explorer on the TC may be buying enough time for sort of a defensive advantage in terms of Snow.
A little bit of a freeze there, but it's all right.
Yes.
So yeah, 700 wood, normal sort of thing. Market coming down. So normally you see a market transition. Obviously, Snow going for the trading post instead. And I don't think Snow's going to have any problems here. I mean,
Yes. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Yeah, that's nothing bad. I think there was a freeze. It might have been on Breeze's end. You mentioned he occurs. It's happened in every game basically so far. So I think it'll just dwindle down. It'll restabilize. Nothing to be too worried about.
No, and if it continues to be a problem, we can switch to screen share anyway. It shouldn't be. Yeah, it shouldn't be a problem. It should be fine. But yeah, 5 musketeers coming out here from Snow, and there's nothing in queue for Breeze. So Breeze may be sort of faking out with this barracks, but I think that's. Go ahead.
So all things considered, I actually think this is slightly less favorable for Age of Killer. Now, even if Age of Killer were able to get good trades with his musketeer, obviously he's under quite a bit of pressure right now. Just take a look. Just consider this town center position. It's really bad. It's not by any nearby resources. Even though he can kind of utilize... Oh, oof, that might be 1 dead villager. Basically, like, if he put the town center right over here, it would have been at a hot spot for resources. He's got wood, he's got food, he's got coin, but this town center is stranded. There is... and it's also in a spot where he's very liable to lose villagers if he's not very keen. Now, look at that. Another villager dead, and I think this is not going all the way Breeze wants it to.
Is this a mistake though for not sieging down this town centre from Breeze? Maybe bring out some pikes from the barracks instead of musketeers, and just although Breeze getting down, I don't know what that was, a stable. Yeah, he's getting out a stable, and yeah, but he's just losing these musketeers for absolutely nothing. And meanwhile, Breeze losing his advantage, although Minutemen coming out from both TCs, and there's forward coin. That's a mistake. Right here, forward coin from the outpost. So he's going to see that. But again, like, he's just wasting all these Minutemen. He's just forward put from his town centre. He's going to see the crossbowmen, but he's just going to go back. Maybe losing that stable from those musketeers sort of wandering around his base has been quite a mistake here. And you have to remember that town centre, if he gets a couple of villagers in it, is going to do so much damage versus the villagers having a 2x multiplier as well.
I mean, this is a very tenuous situation. I think it's still Snow favored, but of course, with that mistake on the coin, that's pretty damning. That's really unfortunate. Also shooting Coyotes. The Coyotes now attacking the Musketeers. Some more Musketeers popping up for Breeze. This is a very confusing situation. There's units everywhere. There's Coyote. There's 3 parties fighting in this engagement. Even some wolves.
It's okay, yeah.
Musketeers.
But yeah, Breeze just wasting these crossbowmen. Crossbowmen obviously excel versus musketeers when you can pull them back. I mean, they don't actually do that much more damage. It's just the range they have, and 4 range is quite important. But this trading post paying dividends really, and the extra musketeers coming in here, he might lose all these musketeers he has and the advantage he has realistically. But look at the villager difference, 30 to 24. Although you have to account for the TP line, so I think Breeze actually not in a bad position here. Eco about equal, and 6 musketeers coming out.
Oh yeah, and 6 Musketeers was already shipped by Snow, so there's not going to be another timing push. Of course, he does have 6 Longbowmen still in the deck, still in the cards. That is a potential for him. But man, this forward 700 coin was just disastrous for Snow. He lost, I think, 2 villagers there. At least he lost 1. I think we just saw that. A bit of a lag bump. But this is a tough position. Obviously, there are 12 Musketeers on the field for Eric, but they're not all in the same position. He's got 3 idle over here. He's outmassed. Minutemen, that seems like the right call here. Gonna lose some more villagers, though.
Yeah, so I mean the villager count. 2 villagers lost to Snow, and 4 lost to 4 lost to Snow and 2 lost to Breeze. But again, how does Breeze sort of hold this position? He's gonna get outmassed by British at some point with better musketeers in age 2, and he sort of has to. Actually, no, I'm completely what I'm saying is completely wrong. He has the TP line, so he basically has a 2 TP advantage, which is better for Eco. So he's actually ahead on Eco, definitely. Although he keeps on taking bad trades of his units, which I don't like.
This is, I mean, the scores are a little bit different, but it's still quite even. Snow is rough. I mean, they're both roughly the same on economy, like you mentioned. The big difference here, actually, there isn't a difference. If you look at the upgrades for both villagers.
Yeah, but the difference is the TP line, isn't it?
Dogs.
And Steel Trap's coming in for Breeze now, so he's going to entrench that eco difference as well. But you have to. Is that 700 coins shipped forward? Oh, that's a mistake. And then look, the villagers are taking the 700 coin as well. He's going to lose another villager. I do not know if it's worth it or not there. But I mean, I have no clue who's in the advantage here. Probably Breeze actually. I mean, these three musketeers have just been sitting here doing nothing. They're not. Idle military is no better than just having no military.
Here's the point where, you know, Brit begins to send these musketeer shipments, and he's going to get the advantage. I mean, Portuguese don't have any colonial upgrades for their units. So, Ageofkiller, he has to either mix in something like 10 crossbowmen to ward off the musketeer mass from Snow, and, you know, he's got to follow it up with some other play. He can't just continue to mass musketeers against musketeers of Eric when they're both on equal economies, and he has the stronger musketeers.
What do you feel?
Looking good for Breeze.
Yeah, but what do you think about something like CM here and sort of aggressively pressing with CM here? 15 colonial militia, if you can push them into a musketeer mass, would do quite well. Although you have to, as you were saying, these musketeers, these British musketeers, if Breeze just waits, they're going to get better and better and better. He might be able to get a bigger mass, but once his second musketeer upgrade, the 15% HP comes in, these musketeers are basically going to be veteran musketeers against colonial musketeers, which will trade obviously much better.
See, Eric going for a counter raid, or not a raid, but he's just going to siege this training post along the other side. He's got enough musketeers on this side of the map with which to, you know, joust with Breeze without having to force an engagement or lose an engagement if he does get forced into one. So he's free to, just send some musketeers along the other side of the map and, begin these raids. In fact, there are even some more raids coming over to this side that I didn't notice. Two musketeers, they were getting caught by some musketeers at Breeze, but probably strain on Breeze's macro. And look at this. If Eric is keen,
Oh, he just misses them as well. That'd been huge if he got like 5 or 6 villagers there, turn the tide. But obviously, yeah, as you said, look, this. I think it's a mistake for Eric not sending in the musketeer upgrade. But again, the positioning on the musketeers is so much better. Although CM coming in, and as I said, he's pushing forward with CM, and now he has a bigger mass. And you have to remember, CM about the same as these upgraded musketeers, even though they do lose HP. And aggressively, I think Bruce has got this. What can Snow do here, really?
I think Eric is okay. I mean, all he has to do is hold his timing. He doesn't have Minutemen off his own, but he is stacking a lot of resources, so he's going to have 10, 10, 10, 10. Lots of batches of musketeers coming out. And so, Breeze, it's going to reach its statute of limitations. These Minutemen are going to lose their hit points, and suddenly Breeze is going to have no more infantry mass, and he's caught in a terrible position, sandwiched by the musketeers. Really fortunate, but I also don't want to go out because that would also induce some more lag.
Yeah, do you see like look like stutter? This is really annoying.
I do.
I don't know whose PC it is. It might be Bruce. It might be my PC. But yeah, Bruce he's got these villagers now bundled up. I mean, he has TC file, which is nice, but he's now idle 16 villagers. And look at the difference in military unit population. And you have to remember again, this barracks is going to go down, which is I believe the only barracks. No, he has one over here, but he can't compete with a 2 barracks spam from Snow at this point. He's going to lose that TC. He can't call on CM again, and he's going to lose that big advantage that Portugal has, and he's going to split off a couple of the musketeers to continue sieging, and he's going to clean up this massive from Bruce, and he's going to push him off every single hunt he has. Wherever he ever hunts, he can push onto. There's another musketeer over here stopping him going on any other hunts. And he's just going to get pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. And once he loses this TC line, which is at this point sort of inevitable with the military unit deficit he has, he's going to be down on eco. However, Breeze going to age.
Breeze is saving for the age up, and that's his final calling card, of course. Once he's up to age, I mean, he might have like an 8 Cassador shipment, but it's still going to be really difficult because he's relying on those shipments. I guess, he still does have 1 barracks, so he can continue to train units in transition. Very laggy.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out right now. Are you comfortable solo casting the last part?
I can do the last part. I should be able to. Hopefully it... do you want to pause the game when you leave?
I'll pause, and then I'm out, and then unpause, and then if you can repause again.
There's a big lag spike. There you go. Right.
Yeah.
Are you going to leave Discord as well? Are you going to stay here?
No, I'll just mute myself, and you're all good.
Sure. So yeah, Breeze sort of getting pushed off the hunt, so as I was saying. He is going up now, so he's going to get up, and there's 5 settlers coming in, so that deficit's even larger now, and the second TP's going to come up, so the eco's going to be in favour of Snow, but you have to remember Snow doesn't have a stable up to speak of, so he can't get any Huss out, and Huss is what he needs in this situation. Cassadors and organ guns are just going to rip through this musketeer mass, even if they're upgraded. Breeze is going to get those age 3 musketeers as veterancy upgrades. He's going to lose his barracks though, but he does have the second TC going up, and the Minutemen are going to take out these musketeers. But now the Minutemen have been called, he knows where these villagers are, so he just has to push onto there, and he's going to get some free kills if he just moves them over to forward slightly more. But yeah, he's just scouting so heavily, and he's, as I said, Eric, known for his raids, really is his main playstyle, and Boo's actually going to get popped here. So yeah, there you go. There's going to be a few villagers going down. 2 organ guns coming out though, but again, no stable. This might be a massive mistake. There's no stable. We can't contest at all. Yeah, and veterancy coming in. I mean, he's going to suspect those organ guns to come in anyway, and he has to get back. Those organ guns are going to do so much damage. Look at it. I mean, yeah, he's going to lose 5 or 6, and then longbows getting produced. But again, where's the stable? He needs to produce. He needs to put a stable up. Yeah, and these veteran musketeers now slightly even better than the upgraded British musketeers. Although Snow is now going to age, and as I said earlier, he is slightly ahead in eco, and he now has the second TP line. He's going to lose this one for his he's going to lose the training post to his own volition. But if Snow can get up easily, but oh, there's the stable coming up. So units in queue. Let's look. There's a Huss coming in queue. So maybe he isn't aging. Maybe he's just going to try and mass some hussars and try and take out these organ guns, because when he takes out the organ guns, you have to remember he still has the bigger mass of musketeers, and they're basically the same as Bruce's musketeers. And then again, more raids coming out from Snow and sort of the right of the map and denying this forward hunt, and Minutemen sort of being wasted here. He's not going to clean up any of the musketeers, and the musketeers are just going to clean up more and more of these villagers and just be going to harass completely. I mean, these organ guns may be cleaning up some of the villagers from Snow himself, but Snow just buying time so he can get a Huss mass out. There are 5 Huss coming out here, and Breeze needs something like goons in this, but he hasn't got any, and cavalry hit points coming out, so these Huss are no joke really compared to anything Breeze has. I mean, he might even just walk onto the organ guns himself. There's the Huss coming in. He just needs to get these organ guns down, and he's completely fine. As the organ guns going to go down right now, these Huss are going to snare, and these musketeers, bye-bye, they're out of the game. And then look at the mass he's going to have. He might lose a few villagers, but he doesn't mind. And he knows where Bruce is hunting, so he could just push directly on that. And what could Bruce do? That's Bruce's last hunt. There you go, there's the mass. He's going to push forward. He's going to get... Yeah, he's got so much wood. I don't know why he's got so much wood himself. But he's going to try and... There's a mill going down, because obviously hunts are down. And he's going to get another batch of musketeers out. And Bruce has nothing to stop this. These musketeers might catch for cavalry, but he doesn't really mind. All he needs to do is push forward and deny these hunts. And these villagers, even then with the hunts, are idled. Especially with these trading posts going down, it's going to be equal again in eco, and Cassador's coming up, but again, he has a Huss mass now, so Cassador's maybe not the best shipments to send here. Maybe he needs goons, and he needs to harass Snow on these last hunts. Yeah, so look, these Hussars getting such a massive raid on these villagers, and 15 villagers lost to Bruise. Oh, the Cassadors are going to get snared by the Hussars, and the Musketeers are so far away. I mean, these Musketeers, if they get into contact with the Cassadors, they're going to do good damage anyway. So, I mean, is there any units in queue which could sort of save Bruce at the moment? There's only Musketeers in queue, which isn't what he needs to be making here. He needs to stable up, he needs to make goons, and he needs to go onto that AoE3 Cassador goon combo, or goon organ gun, or something like that, and he just can't. He's going to lose so many villagers in this fight. I think the game's over. I mean, CM coming from the back here, but obviously CM, I mean, it's a last sort of ditch effort. It's incredibly costly. Although with the 5 Musketeers coming in quite nicely, but look how many villagers he's lost here. 22 to 7, and this TP line not really being beneficial anymore because it's equal for both civilizations. He's fighting the villagers here for his last fight, but look, all Snow has to do is walk forward and kill the villagers and the CM, and he's won. And again, nothing really in queue which could help him. And he's just going to lose more, and GG coming up for Bruise. Yeah, so I think the sort of end of the game here shows that Breeze may be going for maybe the wrong civ, or maybe even the wrong strategy against Snow, who obviously is a slightly more experienced player on land maps, as I was saying. And yeah, as Trevor says in the chat, Snow having a reverse sweep here. So realistically, Snow having 3-2, which obviously isn't that bad for either team. Nil Ninja's still behind overall. So yeah, I think well played by both players, generally speaking. if we look in the post game here, you can see, just look at the villager population, how many Breeze lost here. This is a sort of a killing blow here. I mean, he was about equal in villagers at the 15-minute point, but then he just constantly lost and in drips and drabs some musketeers, and this hunt over here was being constantly denied. I mean, what could Breeze really do here? Because port is such port is such an important resource, and he wasn't able to get the infrastructure up, to get the mills up, or anything like that. And I think a mistake really made here was going for more musketeers against a British player who had equal musketeers, and he could have shipped something like even more Cassadors even, or 5 dragoons would have been nice. 5 dragoons with the organ guns. He could have defended the organ guns even in a nicer situation and would have came out on top maybe.